Hi, I have David with me, and Mr. David is 75, almost 75 years old. His birthday's on this weekend, Saturday, is that correct? And
Saturday, August
he,
9th.
oh, and happy birthday in
Thank
advance.
you.
And he has been through quite a health journey and has quite a world of experience. So I wanted to interview him because he has been having so much success with the Slenderiiz drops, and because I've always um, just respected him for, I've known him for several years for what he does in our church, and just a wonderful man. So, anyway, welcome, David. Thank you for taking the time to interview with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Amy.
You're welcome. Okay, I wanted to see if you could share a little bit about your story, just where you're from, what you did in the past, and if you can just kind of walk us through all of that.
Okay. I'm originally from New York, from Brooklyn, and brought up in the city as a city person. And I've never forgotten my roots. And my background on my mother's side is Middle Eastern, and on my father's side, Greek. And
Wow.
so have a lot of ethnic uh, influence that way. I
Wow.
was
You must
brought
have,
up in a Christian family.
okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say you must have had wonderful food at home with that background.
We did. And they always tell me to go on a Mediterranean diet. And I say, yes, I have been.
Wonderful.
And so I was brought up in a Christian family. We went to church every week. And unlike so many people that say that, I wanted to go to church. They didn't have to force me to go. I wanted to go to church. And I remember going Sunday morning, Sunday evening. And as I got older, on Wednesday nights as well. And then eventually Friday nights, there was youth service, and I went there.
Wow.
And in 1956, approximately that year, Billy Graham had a 13-week crusade in New York.
Wow.
It was his longest crusade. It was only planned to be a week or so, as he normally does. And for some reason, in some way, it lasted 13 weeks at the former Madison Square Garden,
Wow.
not at the current one, but the former one. And we remembered going so many nights in that 13-week period. And I remember Billy Graham, George Beverly Shea, Ethel Waters, and came home one evening, said to my mother as she was praying for me by the bedside, I said, could I receive Jesus in my heart? And she says,
Aw.
yes, of course you can. I felt like I had to ask permission.
Wow.
I don't know why. That's just how I felt. And I followed the Lord, and that actually did really mean something to me. So much so that I always look back at that as my uh, commitment to the Lord at that time. And we eventually went to Calvary Baptist Church in New York, which was a good, solid church and still is. And at the time, the pastor, Stephen Olford, was actually noted by Billy Graham as being the best Bible expositor at the time.
Wow.
And he and Billy Graham were friends, and Billy Graham and George Beverly Shane Cliff Barrows came to our church many times. And I knew them, got to know them, and worked in their crusade later on. And they were wonderful people. And they were just as you would want to have a Christian pastor to be. They were kind, they were gentle, they were friendly, and beyond reproach. At
Wow.
about 1968, I was graduating from high school, and our church had a yearly missionary conference. And at that time, my intention was to go into radio broadcasting on the technical side, the audio engineering side. And as a result of the missionary conference, I wanted to give my life to full-time Christian service. I didn't feel led to be a pastor or to speak in public, but I wanted to go into the technical end. And I didn't
Wow.
know how to do that. So I did. I went up forward and I gave my life to Christian, full-time Christian service. And from that time on, I was in full-time Christian work all my life. And so at the church, we had a radio studio in Manhattan. And I don't know, it just happened. They said, "Would you like to work in the radio studio?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And I did for the next 20 years or so. I
Wow.
produced their radio broadcasts, recorded their broadcasts back in the days of open reel tape. I recorded morning, evening, and Wednesday services, and then edited them all down for 59-minute and 29-minute radio broadcasts around the world and syndicated them
Okay.
there. I During that time I went to Northeastern Bible College and got my ordination and got my Bible training there. My major was New Testament survey. That was my interest at the time.
Okay.
And
Wow.
then our church had a Bible school as well, and I taught some classes at New York School of the Bible on West 57th Street in Manhattan. And right there, opposite Carnegie Hall, our church had in front in the concrete uh, whatever you call that concrete sign up in front. We preach Christ crucified, risen, and coming again. And that was our
Okay.
testimony back then.
Wow.
After that, when things have changed, in Florida for a couple of years with Ralph Montanus, America's blind evangelist, with the Gospel Association for the Blind, doing the same thing. And then a couple of years later, young V. Kinberg, the president of International Bible Society, called me and asked if I would work with them. So I moved back to New Jersey, to East Brunswick, and worked with the International Bible Society from 1976 for the next 35 years until that department closed and until I was of the age to retire.
Okay.
Since I was about 20, though, from the New York days, um, I had the vision and the opening to work with our church, volunteering at rescue missions, prisons, and nursing homes. And I've kept doing that for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful. You
I'm
serve
still
those
doing that.
people that need it the most, right?
Yes, it was always those people who were the ones who have been neglected by society. And
Right.
I have a heart for them and I can understand where they're coming from.
Oh,
And every
wow.
week I still go down, take my keyboard if unless they have an organ there, and I do a traditional church service with an opening doxology, scripture reading, the Gloria Patri, hymns, and scripture reading and a Bible study each week. I still do that. And that's
Wow.
my calling, and I feel that's my gift. Nothing
Wow.
special. I just do that.
That's incredible. And I've heard his organ playing. It's phenomenal. So, wow. And then you were telling me about some of your health issues that I didn't even know about. Can you share a little bit about what happened?
Yes. When I was about 65 or so, I would go in for my normal yearly checkups, and my cholesterol and HDL were always the opposite of the numbers that they should be. What should be low was high, and what should be high was low.
Right.
And so they wanted to do uh, the where they put the stent in your veins or in your arteries, and they couldn't because they were 80, 90, and 100% blocked.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
thought, well, that doesn't sound good. And and they wanted to keep me in to do the triple bypass. And I said, my wife is at home and she's chronically ill, and I need to at least go home and take care or make arrangements for her. And they said, "Do you promise to be back tomorrow?" And I said, "Yes." They did, and I did, and they did the triple bypass.
Triple
And I was in
bypass.
so much pain. I was in pain for weeks after that.
Oh, that's
And so
serious. Wow.
I recovered from that. And then approximately, I'm going to say 5 years after that, I had an unexpected stroke. I just came home from visiting my wife at the nursing home, and I couldn't make it up the first three steps of my house. I only have three steps, and I just somehow found myself on the ground at 8 o'clock at night,
Oh,
and
wow.
I couldn't
That's
figure out how to get up. I mean, my mind was there. I just couldn't figure out what to do, and the body wasn't working.
right.
And it was dark. It was October. It was cold, and nobody drives down my street at that time. But someone just happened to drop off my neighbor. They never do that. And they saw me, said, "Are you okay?" I said, "No, I can't get up." And I believe they called 911 because the
I would
next
hope
thing I
so.
remember, I was in the back of an ambulance and I found myself uh, in the ER, and I called my son and daughter, told them where I was, and they said, "You had a stroke." And it was a brain bleed.
Oh,
And they showed me the X-ray or the CT scan where there was you know, a thing that looked like that. And they
you
said, if
could
it
see it.
doesn't, I could see it. And they said, if it doesn't drain, we're going to have to drill a hole there to drain it out.
That doesn't sound good.
No,
It
it
would,
doesn't. And you know what my biggest fear was? They were going to shave my head.
because of your beautiful
That,
hair.
yeah, that was my biggest fear. Not fear of dying, fear of shaving my head. Well, the next morning came, and sure enough, they didn't have to do that. But I was virtually paralyzed on my left side, my
Oh,
left
wow.
arm, and my left leg. And so I was in a wheelchair for the 3 months that Medicare would cover. But they did send me to rehab. And the rehab that they sent me to, where they asked where I would want to go, was at the nursing home that I was a chaplain at.
Oh,
Will O'Hanrahan, I think was his last name, was noted in the city for being one of the best PT persons in
oh,
town. And people would come to him from all over for training. And he
wow.
knew me. He got me up and running and walking, well, up and walking at least. And so I could function, I could drive, I can play the organ. And those are the things I really wanted to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that quality of life is so important.
It is. And
Yes.
then a couple of years later, they went in and did the second open heart surgery to repair the
Wow.
mitral valve. They didn't want to do it the first time because once you do that, the clock starts ticking when you have to do it again.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, not my life clock, just the clock on the valve where you have to do it again. So they didn't have to replace it, which was good. They
Okay.
just repaired it,
Okay. Wow.
which extended the life and the clock cycle even longer.
Okay. Incredible. So, what made you want to try the drops? Was it this
Because
health history?
because of you and Alethea told me about it and the help regarding the cholesterol and the statins
Okay.
and not having to take those. And also, a non-medical, non-medicine way to
Right.
maybe lose and trim some weight down.
Absolutely. Okay. So, what have been your results? First of all, how long have you been on them, and then what have been your results?
Okay, I am on them now for approximately 2.5 months.
Okay.
I'm on my third series right now,
Okay.
a monthly series. And my last cardiology appointment was approximately April. And the numbers were okay, but I'm on two statins and a high blood pressure medication.
Right.
So of course, hopefully, the numbers should be good.
Right. Should be improving.
And yeah, and the only blood thinner I'm on is aspirin,
Okay.
which is good because it's safer than the other drugs.
Right.
I mean, you could die from the other drugs.
Right. That's
The other
correct.
alternative was to insert a Watchman in there in the veins. It's kind of like a mesh thing in the veins
Oh,
uh, to keep the blood clot if a clot forms from going to the heart. But there's not good reports on those. They get
uh,
clogged and they have to go in again. And I don't want to go in again. I have too much to do.
you have too much to do. I love it. You're too busy.
So I'm more concerned about not being involved in what I do.
Absolutely. Okay. Well,
I
and
guess my priorities are all out of whack
the
between
hair, and
my hair
you
and
want to be busy. I love it.
I want to be busy with a full head of hair. You
There
know,
you go. So you were telling me that you were at the doctor's office and they weighed you and you were
I was approximately 173 at the doctor's office.
okay.
And as recently as a week ago, I weighed myself again at home, and it was about 158, which is a
Okay.
significant difference.
Right.
Even if the two scales are not calibrated exactly, they can't be that far off.
Right.
Even if
Right.
they're 3 pounds off or so on each one, it's still a significant weight change. And
Right.
I haven't done any lifestyle change. I'm not
Okay.
exercising any more than my normal activity and routine. People from
Okay.
New York don't exercise. They just run to the subway. You know, you don't take a car to go to a gym so you could exercise. You just do it, you know? And so I haven't had that kind of life change. My waist seems to be fitting better. I'm at
Okay.
least one or two notches tighter on a belt size.
Okay. Okay, so waist is one or two notches. Okay, that's great. And I always tell people more important than a number on the scale is how you're feeling, how your clothes are fitting. Do you have more energy and all of that? So that's wonderful.
Now I'm walking with a cane to keep my balance, and because it's hard for me to have the exact range of motion on my left side because of the stroke. But
Right.
I noticed the other day that I was walking faster. In fact, I was getting out of the car and it was raining as I was going into church. And I was didn't want to get my hair wet. There I go again. And so I was walking relatively fast without the cane. Well, when I got in church, because we were having a church dinner, my daughter-in-law says, "You know what your grandson said?" I said, "What?" Well, my granddaughter said, "Look how fast grandpa's walking." And my grandson's, who's about 5, said, "Yeah, but he's an old man."
Wow. If they're noticing, if your grandson's noticing, that's amazing.
They actually did notice that. So,
Wow.
and I feel self-conscious using a cane, so I have to explain why. And I shouldn't, but I do. So it's the weight, and my appetite is not as, you know, obsessive. You know,
Okay.
I normally don't eat a whole lot
Right.
of meals, but when I'm eating, I'll eat a lot during the
Right.
meal. And I
Okay.
don't feel like I have to. I feel like I'm satisfied before, um, I just, and when you're alone, you don't prepare a meal. You just, you know how that is.
Yeah. So you just eat.
Keep it sanitary. I keep it sanitary. I use a knife and a fork and I put it in a plate.
That's
But I
good.
don't feel like I just have to keep going and going and going.
Okay, wonderful. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing all that. That's a lot. And to have that, all the heart issues that you had, and
Yeah.
to, you said you're moving a lot easier, like you almost don't need the cane as much. Is that correct?
I would say so. I would say that's true. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time this evening and sharing your story. And I just, as you know, I pray for all the people that are doing the drops, and you're included in that. So I'm just believing for wonderful testimony once you get to the doctor again. And hopefully he'll be able to, change or reduce some of your medication. So that would be wonderful. So keep
Well,
us
thanks so
posted.
much. Well, thanks so much, Amy.
Okay, well, you have a
Thanks.
wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye now. Thanks.